Go now.
I make a man out of you. Be a man. We must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Jesus Christ.
I love it. I love
There
it.
goes the monetization, right?
Oh, I don't have that clip here. Damn it.
I love the
It gets
panda.
funnier every time I watch it.
Yeah, that panda was the best clip.
Yep.
I didn't do camera, man. My resolution sucks ass.
When you had a great smile on it. You had a great smile on there.
That really happened. Somebody caught me laughing, which I do often enough, I guess.
I didn't know
See,
pandas
that was me because I found just the right video and I was going, you know what? We're talking about Saturday morning cartoons, so let's make it look like a Saturday morning sitcom or something. You know, you got to laugh in the clip when it shows your name or smile, you know, like they did back in the old '90s shows and stuff.
Oh yeah, I feel like I'm on TV now, but yeah, Sunday morning cartoons are the embarrassing ones you don't tell your friends at school Monday that you watch.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'd always talk about Beast Wars. Beast Wars was awesome. Just saying. The only one we're missing is Rule Zero Chest Rockwell. That's a shit.
Beast
But a
Wars
great
was
clip, though.
Chesty's got more important things to do than.
Yeah, he's got like a real job and a real life and stuff.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
But he loves guys who's actually too busy to like be on the internet.
He has a business, you know. He's
People with $1 million plus are probably,
Taking care of
being
business.
billed at a, better rate than we are. So that's fine.
Pretty much. But sup, everybody, Post Zero. Today we're going to discuss posts by Archwinger, which he apparently doesn't even remember he ever wrote. So
it was a fucking decade ago, Jack.
Well, we saw that you wrote on Twitter 10 years ago, so we're going to hold you accountable for that. It was Dante's idea. But before we begin, let's go around the table. How's everybody doing? Dante?
I had a whiskey before I came here. I think I'm gonna take it more seriously. It's pretty interesting. I like it on the rocks. I don't like it neat. I'm not that
Good choice.
not that old yet. Yeah.
What time is it over there, Dante? You're still pretty close to our time zone, right?
No. It's 12 midnight over here.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a whiskey at around like what?
Close enough.
9 p.m. It's not bad.
I'm sitting here like it's like 11 a.m. Eastern here. Well, I guess I'm 10 a.m. Central here, so it's a little early for you to be in the whiskey.
Midnight somewhere.
Yep. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Hawk,
Midnight.
how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Fresh off of going to the Trump rally yesterday, so I've been having fun. But I'm exhausted. But I'm rejuvenated from hanging out with all of my friends here this morning to talk about fantastic topics that 95% of the people in the red pill space are too retarded to actually put to practice in their real lives. So we're here for the 5%.
Gov, have you
I
been?
can't even follow up to that, man. No, can't complain. Everything's going good with me. Not nothing happening this week, but everything will start happening that I'm looking forward to probably within the next week or two. So,
Okay, did you get a new job or something? Gonna make millions now?
that starts March 4th. So yeah, I'm just counting down the days. Even the website that is doing the onboarding process has 15 days remaining until day one, and I think that sounds kind of foreboding in a way.
Hey, as long as 72 hours, as long as the Majora's Mask screen isn't popping up, I think you're good.
See, you get it.
Time, to write a book, do a few crypto scams or something. You could make some money in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. I could do something like that. I was thinking about that. I could probably, start some kind of online, Christ pill course or something like that. That seems to be the hot thing right now anyway.
Oh, God. Speaking of which, Nuke, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Whoa, just spilled something. I'm doing good.
No, too good, huh?
You short your computer out, you're not doing so good.
Yeah. Oof.
No, my computer's over here, so it's good. It's good. I just doing content. I'm on hosted Rule Zero last week, and now I went viral again for something. I forgot what was the post. It was like
It was a meme.
Oh, the meme guy playing video games of women dating in their 20s versus their 30s. That kind of stuff always makes you go viral. So I gotta spam it here and there.
It tells you how retarded the internet is. A
Yeah.
picture or something like that, and everyone's got their take on a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's great to hold a thermometer to the internet's IQ levels from time to time. So
I don't understand memes. Like someone will respond to something I say, a picture of a dude making a face. I don't know who the dude is. I don't know what the face means, but I know he had some kind of thought about what I posted, so that's good.
Yeah, gosh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mitch, I hope your connection's better than last week. How have you been, man?
Oh yeah, I'm finally back to civilization. Unfortunately, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna be back in the middle of nowhere for 2 more weeks. Yeah, life's been good lately. Can't complain, honestly. Work has been good. A bit dangerous, but good. Can't complain. Lots of money. So yeah,
It's good.
Gym has been going amazing.
It's good to hear from you, Habibi. We've missed you.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Agree.
Yeah, been hitting the gym hard lately because you basically have nothing going on in the middle of nowhere other than eating and going to the gym and working. So that's good always. I mean, I'm making insane gains in the gym.
Still working with that program I gave you?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's amazing, dude.
Doing my best.
Good simple life.
Yeah. Arch, how have you been? Haven't seen you in a while.
Well, the in-laws are in town, so we got some free babysitting. So the wife and I had like our post-Valentine's date last night. Kept it traditional for Valentine's. Like we got to go to oyster restaurants. Trick with oyster restaurants is the main courses always suck. You don't want to pay $42 for a dried out piece of redfish. Just get another dozen oysters. Like you have oysters, I have whiskey drinks, she has martinis or whatever flowery girl drink I have. We eat oysters, get a Caesar salad with anchovies. If it does not have anchovies, it's not a real freaking Caesar salad. And then skip like right to dessert, have some port wine, some coffee with that, or go to like another bar after dinner or something. Always skip the main courses in an oyster restaurant. And that is more actionable advice than anything I've ever posted on Reddit or done in the Manosphere. That you can act on right now. How to navigate oyster restaurants.
Remember this in 10 years.
Also, we get like double lemon and double cocktail sauce, like a bunch of extra horseradish in mine, and she doesn't like as much in hers, and we do not like sharing lemons. We're just impatient. We want to eat our goddamn oysters. So,
I live across the street from an oyster place, so I can implement that in the next couple hours.
Nice. So, Dante, you had a quote to start this off with. Please.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I won't read the quote. I'll actually give the tidbits. Is that
go ahead?
Yeah, I've been seeing on the internet for a while that I think a lot of the guys on Twitter, a lot of the people who call themselves Red Pill, who call themselves part of the quote-unquote manosphere, are starting to forget the reason why a lot of people come to these ideas in the first place. Why a dude who has a life, has a family, may have a job, may have a career that he should be busy with, is going on the internet and asking, why won't my wife fuck me, right? Or why won't girls touch my dick? Or why can't I get girls? And they're looking for answers. And despite everything else, almost everything else in their life being set up, they're still looking for answers. And well, the answer in Archwinger's post is the people on these places are not happy people. I don't know about you folks, but if you've watched the recent shouting match with OnlyFans chicks and White Claw's Power Hour, those guys don't look too happy. I don't know about can you folks? I don't know. That doesn't look very happy to me. People who on Twitter, talking about women and virgins and like sluts and shit, they don't seem very happy with their sex life. A lot of the trad chicks that are talking don't seem very happy either. So I don't know. Might be time to get back to basics and figure out, okay, what is it we actually want? And Archwinger's post put it beautifully. It's very old, but I think it still rings true today. So that's why I decided, let's re-examine whatever thoughts are there that could be useful to us now.
I would take the internet with a grain of salt, though, Dante. When some dude on YouTube is yelling at some woman, once people realize you can make money on the internet, you don't have to get a real job. Like things people do on the internet became a lot more performative. I mean, whether you're a trad woman, saying my mansion porn, or whether you're like yelling at women in a White Claw Power Hour, or whether you're like, Christ pilling, like everyone's got a grift now. Everyone's just trying to make money without having to get a real job. And I don't know what's real anymore. Like, what do people really think?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think the counter to that is that people say the internet isn't real life, but I actually take the opposite point that the internet is becoming more and more real life every single day. That's my take on the matter.
Yeah.
So
Didn't we talk about that a few streams ago? Maybe like
Yeah, we
10
did.
streams ago. Yeah, like the fact that maybe, like all these kids who are chasing clout and developing their online persona, maybe we're heading toward a Ready Player One future where your internet life is, almost as or more important than your real life.
Right. Well, the fact is, Arch, there are people still watching these things, right? And so the questions that they're bringing up, or the things that they're talking about, people are still looking for these ideas, and somewhere down the line, people seem to miss the point of what they originally were here for. And I think that's what those two posts kind of bring back. It's like you're not here just to get laid. You're not here to save the West. You're here to have happiness for yourself, and I think it's worth calling to attention.
Well,
at least for us here.
Yeah, the last part in the post, and I put them in the chat, by the way, for people who are interested. Men are not happy. Guys in the "My Man Went Red Pill and Ruined Our Relationship" Reddit posts probably aren't actually going to internet sites to get an instruction manual for how to piss off their girlfriends. They're just normal guys who know in the pit of their stomach that something is wrong and that they're wasting their lives and that they're not happy. It's not their girlfriend's fault, it's theirs. And they decide one day, for whatever reason, to take control of their lives in their relationship and build something they're actually proud of. And I think what Dante is saying is that we're seeing now more and more clout and outrage than anything helpful that would actually make them happy and solve that inner problem that they have. And even though it is 10 years ago, Arch, what made you want to write all this, and what would be your opinion now on all of this? Seeing guys come in, seeing guys go out of this space.
I mean, happiness, people almost piss on that as a goal because number one, it's, evil hedonism, just to ask the Drag Christ pillars about that. But also, what is happiness? It's ephemeral, it's fleeting. If I do something like, what's going to make me happy this minute? I mean, even though it's like 10 a.m., I should go have some whiskey and play video games the rest of the day. That would make me happy right now, but it wouldn't be very fulfilling. I think, people are more after some sense of purpose or fulfillment as a human than they are about what makes me happy this minute. Otherwise, we'd all be like 400 pounds in mom's basement playing video games all day, because minute to minute, that would be a very happy existence, but not very fulfilling. So I don't know, maybe happiness isn't the right world. Maybe men, like you were quoting from whoever wrote that. So that was a great writer, whoever you were quoting. Like men need to build something they should be proud of.
Archwinger something. He wrote a post as well about we're here for the unhappy losers. And he says in that, instead of focusing on the sex, it's important to focus on the real issue, happiness. So
maybe by happiness we mean like fulfillment or something, because I'd be happy drinking whiskey right now, but it would be a bad decision. I should probably do something a little more fulfilling with my life. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, if you rewind back to like the beginning of the Red Pill, or at least my experience with the Red Pill, I'm sure there was some like 4chan thing about the Jews or the Matrix or something before them, but like Red Pill on Reddit was a bunch of like guys bitching about women and trying to figure out like their little offshoot of game and pickup artistry. Like, really, the founder of this movement, it was the early 2000s. They were dudes in their 30s, already pretty old men when it comes to the dating scene. And they were getting at the tail end of a relationship, like whether it's a divorce or whether it's a long-term relationship, usually by their women blindsiding them with something they never saw coming, something they did not think a woman who loved them would be capable of doing. And now they're out. It's the early 2000s, and they've got two things to solve. Number one, holy crap, I didn't see that coming. I do not understand women or what they're capable of. And number two, it's like 2004. All the things that got me a girlfriend in 1997 are not working. I'm coming up zero. Big goose egg. Like, the game has changed and everything I'm doing doesn't work. I've got to figure out, how did this work and what are women really like? And so you got these 30-year-old dudes figuring this out on Reddit, of all places, probably one of the worst social media platforms. It's gotten even worse. And that's like my experience with the initial, the Red Pill is these, middle-aged guys starting to figure out like how the game and dating scene works in the early 2000s, which was a big cultural shift actually, because the early 2000s was the Sex and the City years. Like, that's finished airing in 2004. Casual sex cultures hit the forefront of society. The way people have love, sex, and relationships has changed. The game changed at that point, where suddenly we are openly having recreational sex with other humans, and it's okay. In fact, it's like empowering and cool for women to do that now. And some guys don't think it's cool. I don't know if they're bitter or what, but I mean, like, things were kind of turned on their head at that point, and we had the internet. We didn't have the internet in people's houses until about 1997, and like the rate of change of society is just like parabolic. Like, everything is changing faster. And so I look at like shit I wrote 10 years ago, like, I'm 44 years old now. If you're 20 years old, you're trying to have sex with somebody in college, like, I can't tell you how to do that because the game's changed like 6 times since I wrote stuff on Reddit. So, I mean, like, things are changing pretty quickly. And I guess I'm like an old man now, like, scary how quick things are accelerating out of control.
Pretty much. But if I understand you correctly, Dante, it's that focus has shifted primarily from what it used to be to self-development to now what it is outrage, yelling, clickbaiting. And
Look,
I see a lot.
Internet cloud is self-development now. Like developing your online persona, that's like the way to the future. Everyone's going to have like an internet personality and try to make money doing that. Like maybe these kids doing that, like, a random 22-year-old shows up and tries to like pick fights with the Red Pill OG so you can get a few more followers on Twitter or something. Like maybe that is the future. Maybe growing your online brand is what people are doing now. It's like sure as the gym.
Do you think that will be like the next sexual market indicator, the next SMV, where it's like how much clout, how much outrage you can produce?
I mean, already, like, if you don't have a good enough Instagram profile, it's hard to get dates in your 20s. Like, if you don't have the coolest pictures, enough followers or something. So I could see, like, I don't know, a Twitter famous guy, like, having more clout might be attractive to women. I don't know.
To me, it's just
downside to that. Like, I mean, having a lot of followers, having all of that exposure and clout, it does put the risk on you being, either doxxed or Me Too'd or like getting someone who accuses you of doing something and you're going to lose everything in the end. So it's a double-edged sword.
It is a double-edged sword because the more famous you are online, and we've seen that in the sphere with, what was his name? He was Ryan mentioned him yesterday. God damn it! He had the YouTube channel, the Dojo, blah blah blah. Worked with EDJ, Bob Lucas. That was his name. Bob Lucas. He had that. The only reason he got doxxed is because he got kind of sort of internet famous, and then he laid out all his personal information to the first chick who gave him attention, and then he got doxxed. Nuke, you were about.
I think honestly, what's going on now, from what I've seen in the last 2 years of me dating, it's just both sexes are struggling with the fact that we don't need each other anymore, and that really carried most relationships that are like our parents' relationships and our grandparents' relationships, and anything beyond that, you need a lot of discipline to keep each other happy. Right? When I see women post stuff about like I would never cook and clean for a man, like as a guy with options, do I want to be with someone, even family or friends, be with someone that lazy that like I'm willing to wake up an hour early every day to make sure my kids are fed? Even as a single guy living the life, I realize like, hey, if I have to wake up an hour early to get the kids ready for school, I would do that. But the girls are like, no, I will never do that. I would never do that. And it's just
doesn't compute, man. It does not compute.
And I'm just like, okay, you do realize that a relationship, it's not that it's sacrifice, but it's like it takes discipline, but not discipline like military level discipline. It's just like, hey, you got to care about things outside of yourself. And when you explain this to people, they always go for the well, it's the body count and the sex, and I'm like, no, it's just discipline. Like it just takes discipline to keep people happy. I know it's not like work; it's more like it's like that bell curve Ryan talks about. Like on the right side of the bell curve, there's going to be people that no matter what they do, where you drop them, whether it be in a war zone or in America or wherever, they're always going to do well, right? They're going to figure it out. They're going to look at the situation and be like, okay, how do I fix this? And they're going to figure it out. Then there's people that need the right conditions, the middle of the bell curve, that need the right conditions in order to survive. Whether they need like a really good capitalist system where, maybe they need a degree or maybe they need something to make them successful. Or their father hooks them up or their mother or whatever. And there's people on the left side of the curve that no matter what happens, you can give them $1 million and they'll be broke in 2 weeks, right? They just have a big L on their forehead. They cannot win, right? And all I say is like you want to kind of try to move yourself on the right of that bell curve as much as you can. I need a couple conditions for me to be successful with women, and I just try to make them for myself as best as I can. But a lot of people want to stay in the middle of that bell curve, and they don't realize like, hey, like for the guys, like, hey, you gotta work out now. You gotta If you want to stand out, you have to be not fat. That's just that simple. And for the girls, it's just like, hey, you got to be likable. You can't just be a bitch. Yeah, we don't even care about body count. We seriously don't care that much about body count. Just please be likable, because we have to spend the rest of our lives with you. Be likable.
That's an interesting shift. Like one of my guilty pleasures is like I read the girl books, like all the pop psychology. Like I just finished like Come As You Are, Emily Nagoski. What's the one on Esther Perel? Mating in Captivity. I'm reading Gottman now. Hold Me Tight by Sue What's Her Name. Like all the girl pop psychology books. And like one of the interesting stats is like in the 1930s, women ranked love as the 5th most important trait to have in a husband, because back then people needed each other. It was more important your husband had a good job than to actually fell in love. You learn to love each other, like I guess Fiddler on a Roof style. But like in modern days, both sexes rank love as the most important thing in a spouse, because like, and marrying for love, being your best friend with your partner, which has become more important in our isolated society. You have so few social outlets now, that becomes your partner. But then on the other side of your mouth, like Newt was talking about, like a woman nourishing her family with something she created with her own hands and labor, like that should be very fulfilling. But instead we almost have this mentality where we modern movements want love to be transactional. If a woman does something that pleases or benefits a man solely out of love for him, women are petrified she'll be taken advantage of. And so instead we want to force like a transactional nature to relationships, but at the other side of our mouth we say love and being friendship and emotional bonds are the most important thing. Like, but we don't want people to do things just out of love, or they might be taken advantage of. It seems a weakness or something. And there's this inherent tension there. Like, we want to love our partners because we don't need them, so we need that love to hold us together. But we're afraid love is a weakness that will make us, be imbalanced in our relationship and get taken advantage of. And there's that tension there is very interesting.
Well,
I find that the best relationships I have and the nicest ones are with women that are driven, kind of like no matter what they do in life, they'll do okay. Like if they were a secretary for a job, they'd be a good secretary. If they're a mom, they'd be a good mom. That's why I say whenever I see women complaining about these kind of things, to me, it's just incompetent. They're just an incompetent person that maybe they're competent in one area of their life because they've had a lot of like encouragement or they have the right conditions, aka boss babes, right? But when it comes to their whole life, they're good at their job, but their relationships with their parents suck because they just, they're just incompetent. They just can't do anything besides work and be a cog in the machine. And I'm saying like, hey, the best type of girls are just the girls that are good at it. They're not good, like not perfect, but they understand like, hey, there's a certain level of competence you have to go through life. And, raising a child is no joke. Being in a relationship is no joke. It could be fun, but like, the hardest thing about relationships for me was like I felt a lot of the times like I was dealing with a child. Like, hey, they would call me and be like, hey, I don't want to go to work today. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm at work myself. Can we talk later? Like, welcome to life. This is how are you gonna pay for your trips? I don't get it. So
why are you at work? You're making me feel like I'm irresponsible. Well, you kind of are.
Yeah, and those women like you talk about like your diet, your gym routine, and it just makes them insecure that they're not doing more for themselves. Like, so you just shut up about that stuff.
Yeah, I've stopped talking about what I did for the day, unless my girl asks.
That goes back to the whole question of like, how do you get your girl in the gym? You don't, you just go, and then she'll either ask about it or she doesn't. Like, how many guys have had that issue where they start improving themselves? They go to the gym, they lose the weight, get better fitting clothes, and then they look at their wife and be like, why am I doing this? It's like, why?
Well, those are those posts that like I lost my husband to the red pill. The girl will never post their physique or how they look like, or it's always like a female and on account. And the thing is, when it comes down to it, as a guy, they see this red pill stuff too. They're like, why can't I just love my woman? Why do I have to use dread, or why do I have to understand her cycle, or why do I have to do this? When she's pregnant, I got to do what? I got to talk to her this way. And I'm like, dude, it's not that hard in practice, right? The problem is that you've always been not charming. You've always been kind of weird. You've never developed social skills. And you have to be charming with everyone, like charming with your mom, your dad, your brother, your friends. Like everyone requires you to have good social skills. So that's just life, and that's the male side of it. They just don't. I want the Christ pill to help, make sure my wife doesn't cheat on me. I'm like, well, bro, that's God's not gonna help your wife not cheat on you. You have to like be attractive. Like you can't rely on other things.
Well, yeah, go back to Dante's point, though. I mean,
yeah,
like where this all comes from is, guys need to figure out what really works. How does the system like actually work? Like, I know I owe a lot of my insight into how women think, because growing up, I wasn't one of the guys. I suck at sports. I wasn't coordinated. I played too much video games and read books. Like I had no idea how my car works. But a lot of my friends were girls, and so I'm hanging out with girls. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm one of the girls, but like, and all these girls, even they're kind of ignorant to how things work. Like all of them think I must be great with women, just I'm dating girls they don't know, because I'm so nice. I'm like sweet. I'm everything they think they want in a guy. And so they're sure I'm slaying, just not with them. We're good friends, I'm like a brother, I'm gonna do great with girls, just not with her specifically. And but they think I'm slaying, just like off screen on my own little circle or something. Like they think I must be great with women, and I'm like, I'm terrible with women. I'm striking out, because like how things really work, women are ignorant to that. But when you're in those circles with women, and most of your friends are girls, and they're talking about guys and dates and how things work, and you got to explain it. You get a lot of insight into like how the female psyche works, and like. I don't know, like, it almost sounds arrogant when you read this red pill stuff and like, here's what women really want. Like, you think, wouldn't women know better what women really want? But like women, I guess, was Athol K, the Merry Man book. He wrote like, we are not our minds. Like our minds are our evolutionary tool. Like we don't have stingers or wings or exoskeletons. We have our brains. Our brains are what enable us to like, succeed over other animals and colonize the earth. But, your brain is not you. You are your body. If your body wants to mate with a hot guy who's tall and has symmetrical facial features because that will have good genes and give you good kids, your mind will come up with a reason to make that feel like a good idea. Like, because your body's really in charge. And so, I don't know, we get kind of lost in that, like when people really don't understand what they want and how things work and their brain has a different story, like that's like a feature, not a bug.
That reminds me, last week, I remember I was with a surgeon chick and we were watching a movie. It was, what is it called? Think Like a Man.
Allah in Graceland?
Sorry. So you guys remember, like there was five of them, and there was the player. What she told me that she doesn't want a player. She doesn't want a guy who cheats and lies and everything. But when the player scene came up, she said, like, I want a guy like that. I'm like, oh, interesting. So you want a guy who lies to you? They don't know what they want.
No, of course not. No. And back to the points from earlier, it's kind of like we found ourselves, because particularly here in the West, we're so affluent and we're so what would you say like everything is geared towards pleasing women and such. It's almost like the solipsism is turned up to like 2000 basically, and there's just no expectation at all to have any of like the, I don't know, what would you call it? Like traditional, like, I don't know, relationship skills and such. There's just no enforcement mechanism, right? So it's like they're running around with like tickets with their heads cut off, basically trying to figure everything out. And it's like, well, this girl on TikTok says I should want this, and my mom says I should want this, if you actually get any training from your parents at all, because everyone's coming from broken homes and stuff. So it's a very strange position we all find ourselves in at this point. And I feel like everyone is trying to figure it out, men and women, because we're in a new paradigm.
Thank God we could all get good information from the internet, right, everybody?
Oh my God.
Oh, God. Every place is being nuked, and then somebody wants to sell you something, and then people are yelling at each other, and everybody's wrong, and my God is better than your God.
Well, the medium is the message. Like, you got to step back and realize, like, hey, why are there so many dating podcasts? Why is everyone now know the red pill or wants to red pill other people and all that stuff? And it's like, ultimately, just people don't know what to do. We've got handed this godlike technology, which was social media. It was like 2007 when I started using Facebook. I'm like, well, this is pretty cool, so I could talk to my friends. I had no idea that it would have the effect that it has now on people, where people are like jumping out of cars or shoving cucumbers inside their body for money because of social media. I had no idea, and no one did. So people were like, just like when the atom bomb was created, or the transistor, or birth control, society kind of was like, society was shaken up a little bit. We were just like, oh, atomic bomb, what do we do? Do we hold it? Do we bomb a country? Do we not bomb a country? Do we keep it a secret? Like, what do we do? And you just got to treat this as just another technological advancement that just humanity is like doesn't know what to do. We're not designed to have this amount of power, and social media's power, and we're seeing like the effects, the downstream effects. So I think if we just step back a little bit and just say, hey, what is going on? What is humanity doing with the social media stuff? And we can tell right now, well, the women are using it to have more sex, right? That's pretty obvious. They're gonna have sex with people they weren't able to have sex with before because of shaming. You know, they can just get a match on Tinder, go to a guy's house, hook up, and then go back to church the next day, right? So what happens is now is there's like less trust amongst the genders because we both got given a tool which could destroy each other if we just don't have that level. That's why we say assume all women are promiscuous, but don't obsess, right? That's taken away social media's power that was bestowed on women. That's why women don't like it, right? Because if I go on a date with a girl on Tinder, if I was a dumb guy, I would just be like, wow, she's on a date with me and she's going to make me wait for sex. She must be a good girl, you know? And that's that plausible deniability or like that girls have. And that's why the trads also don't like the red pill because we just say, hey, there's this technology that has made everyone either super promiscuous or super stupid or a liar, or it's tempting to say something stupid on the internet for clout, whatever. So I got to come with this situation very wary and cautious, relaxed, but kind of wary and cautious. That way I don't get my life destroyed or my mental health destroyed. And I think that's really kind of like a sane take. I think that's a good take. But since we use the language that we use, everyone's like, wow, all women are sluts? No. I have to assume that because I have a life and I don't want to get my mind destroyed by hooking up with the chick and 5 months later finding out that she used to do gangbangs or something because it won't OF or something, right? It's just for protection. It's nothing personal, right? And that's what this red pill post is trying to like prove or like show is like it's not personal. It's for guys. It's not meant. We're talking about ways to not lose everything we built and worked for, which has nothing to do with women. So
bigger picture though, that's like illustrates a social shift. I mean, when you used to like meet a girl, you know, in your community, she was, you know, kept in her father's house. You'd expect her to be kind of, you know, a prudish and virginal, and like, you know, she was raised to have good homemaking skills and, you know, maternal instincts and good values. Like that's like way old school. Like now, when we assume the worst about a woman. And it's on the woman to prove that she is, you know, not a raging slut, or prove that she's like, you know, able to, you know, be good in a relationship. When we enter, I don't want to say like a negative preconception, but we require a woman to prove herself. That kind of, you know, is a big shift from where things used to be. We don't just assume a woman is like good and we're lucky to have her. We assume a woman is bad and she has to do things to like, I know, earn our good graces. But then, you know, that flies in the face of, you know, like modern thinking. Like a woman's not supposed to be doing things out of a man just to prove herself or because she loves him. She might be taken advantage of. Women are equal now. You know, we should be like respecting them outright just because they exist and they're humans. But like instead we disrespect them because they exist and they're humans. We assume the worst of humans. And I guess a very negative lens on humanity, this whole red pill thing.
But I mean, that's pretty much a good one. Like when guys come here and they read all it, like, when they find this, they've probably been through something rough. So a lot of them will click for them because they've been through it. And when they start dating again, then they switch the narrative. Like the societal narrative is indeed like, you will do nothing for the soul happiness of a man, or whatever the quote is. And then most women will face the paradox of like, oh, wait a minute, but society tells me something way different. He should prove himself to me, yet here is this guy who wants me to prove myself for him. Where it's like, yeah, lady, because we've been through it, we've seen it, we've heard
I have a counterpoint to that, which this is something that's like really deep ingrained to a guy that like kind of dates around. A lot of women are starting to play or like to play house now, which is very strange, right? There are women that will cook, clean, massage your back, walk your dog, take care of your dog, do some errands for you, but they wouldn't be caught dead with the title of your girlfriend, right? It disgusts them and I could tell you right now that like these women that are fighting to not do those things, I personally think humans are made we're made to cooperate with each other. And even if you're just seeing someone casually, there's like this need to like do things for someone else just because you like doing things for people you like. It's very, and I've noticed that several women in my life over the past years have done things better than my past girlfriends have done, right? But it's like, because I give them that freedom to always walk and I don't put any expectations on them, that's what they kind of like. It's like a break from society. Like, they come to me, they're like, I'm gonna hang out with this guy. He's not telling me to be less of a hoe. He's not telling me what to do. He doesn't have any boundaries except be a good person and maybe be good in bed or whatever my requirements. And I want to do stuff for him. And I think that's what women are running from. I think they're running from that kind of like, you know, how we say like women would rather be single and incur college debt and do all these things than be saddled with a faithful beta. I think ultimately they're just scared of choosing the wrong guy because they have so much choice. And if they choose the wrong guy, you know, it's over. It's all over. So they have that need to serve. So they'll play house and then they'll be like, cool, I'll see you next week. And I'll come over and play house again. And then that's it. But that's
like
my counterpoint.
it sounds like they're running from expectations almost. I mean, like,
Right.
yeah, because I guess the purest relationship, almost the theoretical ideal, is you and a woman have sex with each other just because you want to have sex. Like, you're horny, you want to. There's no transaction. It's not because you bought her this. It's not because you're being her boyfriend. You just want to have sex. And then you do nice things for each other, and you're emotionally close because you want to be. You like hanging around with each other, you know, so you take care of each other. And that's not something you're trading for sex. Sex isn't something you're trading. Like, you're just doing that because you like each other. And like, that's almost the purest relationship. If a woman comes over and does nice things for you and plays house because she wants to. Like, you know, that's almost better than like a girlfriend who does it because she's your girlfriend or because she's your wife or because she's supposed to or because you like bring home the bacon and like have a job and, you know, now she feels trapped in all these expectations. She's depressed. She's smothered. Like, it just does it because she wants to.
Yeah.
When you do what you were going to do anyway, but you do it by choice, it feels different.
Yeah. No. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, apparently we're in a relationship. Oh, okay. Sure. It's
Okay,
like,
cool,
well,
yeah.
we dated for I don't know how long anyway. So, oh, sure.
Yeah.
When's the anniversary?
And even the
But yeah,
problem with that, go ahead, Chet. Sorry.
No, go. It's okay.
And the problem with that is that as a guy, you need a lot of discipline. Also, if you're going to do casual dating in this day and age, right? Because women, the concept of genuine burning desire also to me has shifted, right? It used to be maybe 10 years ago, a girl doing these things, it meant like she was super down for you, like she wanted to get married, like she was, you know, going for that
Ride or
top
die,
spot.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I've had, you know, women will do all these things, but they wouldn't be caught dead in a relationship with you, right? It's just like, no, I want to do these things for you, but I don't want to be in a relationship. I'll let you know very explicitly, I'm good. I don't want to be in a relationship, right?
Do you think that's a woman like pretending she's like chill and casual and down as like another way to get in your good graces, or does she really not want the title?
To me, I think what it is that okay. I don't like using anecdotes to prove points all the time, but 24-year-old girl I was dating, I met her when I was 24. We hooked up for 2 years, right? We were just casually seeing each other on and off for 2 years, right? Good gal. She was fun, very sweet, would cook for me. She also cooks for her family too. She takes care of my dog. I take care of her dog, whatever. And then she'll get a boyfriend. Boyfriend will dump her. She'll come back, whatever. When you I got a glimpse into her life, you know, because on a long enough timeline, if you're casually seeing a girl, she's not trying to be your husband or be your wife. So she tells you a lot of like messed up things because she's not qualifying. She's not trying to put on the angel, like the persona of a good woman, right? She's just being herself. And one of the things I realized is that the pull that women get to go party, to go travel is so incredibly intense that it's almost like if I were in that position, I was a 24-year-old guy, it would be hard for me to not take the bait, right? You know, like she would tell me, yeah, I had a blue check football player in my DMs hit me up. And I'm just like, geez. And I looked around like, where are you here? No, he just had no game. He was like kind of racist because she was Mexican. I didn't really like him that much, right? That's a casual conversation with me, right? And then she would say, hey, I'm going to Miami. And then she'd go to Miami to see her friends, or she'd like, hey, I'm going to Cuba. And I'm like, you're going to Cuba? Yeah, I went there already, but everyone treated me so well, obviously, because she was a hot chick, right? And I'm just like, when we put ourselves in the shoes of the opposite gender, and we look at how men simp online for literally just a piece of a girl's shoulder online or something, or a trad chick. Look how they fight to protect her from hypothetical villains like us from just saying, hey, you know, women are like this. You don't realize like it's not so much that they want to, it's just like they have no choice at this point, because men are fighting just to make her life 1% more comfortable, and maybe 1% of that 1% guy is maybe having sex with her, and she's like, okay, I literally step out the door and I get offers to go fly everywhere all the time. That doesn't mean they take them, and it's just like at this point, you know, I'm not saying you should condone it, but like
They live in a fake world compared to us.
it's like exactly. There you go. Sorry, Red Hawk. I rambled too long, and Red Hawk just was super concise.
Yeah, well, I describe it almost like there's almost an inherent incompatibility, at least when it comes to women and guys who don't fuck. I mean, guys who fuck, they'll get a little more, but like when you're a woman, your sexual needs are always met, or at least as met as you want them to be. Like if you have a husband or boyfriend and you're horny, you have sex with your husband or boyfriend. If you're actively dating, you have sex after your next date. If you're not actively dating, you can text an ex or a friend with benefits. If you don't have those, it takes you like 10 minutes on a cell phone to get a fuck date lined up on Hinge or something. Like your sexual needs are as met as you want them to be if you're a woman. That's not saying every woman does all that, but if a woman wants to meet her sexual needs, it's really easy. So her baseline in life is her sexual needs are met. And so when she meets a guy and she wants to add him into her life as a relationship, for her, her sexual needs are already met. Sex in a relationship is still important, but it's all of the other relationship stuff is a thing she's adding. The sex, you know, that's met in or out of a relationship for her doesn't matter so much. She still wants to have sex with her boyfriend and she wants to be good sex, but that's secondary almost. It's all the other crap that matters to her. Now, you're a guy who doesn't fuck. So for you, the only time you have sex is if you're in a relationship. Other times you don't fuck. You're always looking for your next girlfriend. So when you meet this girl whose sexual needs are always met in or out of a relationship, but for you, the only time you fuck is when you're in a relationship. Now for you, sex is the most important thing in a relationship. It is the biggest thing you are adding to your life when you get a girlfriend. And so you meet this girl who's like a slut and a half, you know, who has this like promiscuous sexual past, and she wants a relationship. And this is your only vehicle to have sex. You already are entering this kind of incompatible and very imbalanced relationship. Like just being a guy who doesn't fuck and dating the average girl, like you're already starting in this position of severe incompatibility. You don't understand her world. She's practically a different species to you. And she's going to want everything different in a relationship when you are. Like you're doing disservice to yourself and her when you're not a guy who fucks, because like you're just, you almost can't relate to women because you can't understand. Like it's so different.
Yeah, and that's why like when I make a post on Twitter, like I said the other day, like the nicest thing you can do to your future wife or girlfriend is to spin plates, right? Because now you're becoming more compatible with her. You understand her. You don't shame her for, like, guys are like they're like fighting for what the right body count is for a woman. Meanwhile, you're just like you know, I understand how to make you orgasm now because I've learned from the last 5 chicks. So cool. She won't. That's not a big issue. So,
real quick, Nonstop Dre for the $2. Tweaking on Saturday, but praying on knees Sunday. Like, thanks for the $2, Dre. Like the only thing I would add to that, like it's when you get like the trad thoughts and girls like that, where they actively deny anything that has ever been said, where it's like, I'm not like that, blah, blah, blah. And then you discover a couple of days later where it's like, oh, wait a minute, you are like that. Where it's like, if there's just open honesty, or like we like to say, assume, don't obsess, then it doesn't matter a lot, in all honesty. Where it's like, oh, yeah, no.
Women believe that, Jack, though. Like when women says, I'm not like that, she genuinely, like if a woman is like, you know, will spend age 20 to 30, like, you know, meeting guys in bars or off the internet. She's looking for a boyfriend the whole time, not finding a guy she wants to date who wants to date her, and she's like having hookups. She genuinely believes I am not a slut. I was looking for a boyfriend the whole time. Like she generally, like she believes she's not like that. Like she would be offended if you thought she was like, you know, way too promiscuous. Like women, I don't know, like they convince themselves like their version of the story is, you know, in their minds is true to them.
Well, yeah, you know, this is I've made this point before, and I need to flesh this idea out at some point, maybe like write about it. But I'm like you'll see like the trads, and they talk about this kind of stuff all the time. And I think on a metaphysical level, I think they're actually right. And I do agree with them with this, that like, do women actually have agency? And I don't really think they do. However, we've arrived at this point, a unique point in history in 2024, where women's agency has basically just been manifested into existence by either social media, by the laws, by the entire government, by the entire society that we're living in. That's just saying, oh yeah, you go girl, you have all this choice and everything like this. But it's like the paradox of choice at this point, that they don't know how to deal with it properly. And this is the problem, where you just have this completely almost like bifurcation of like the sexes in the world and such like this. It's like women have all this choice and power, but really they don't actually want it, and they have no idea what to actually do with it in a productive manner. And like the trads will go out and say like, well, then we need to like take women's rights away and stuff like this. And like, okay, like maybe that's the correct solution, but how are you actually going to go ahead and do it? Oh, I'm just going to get on a podcast, White Claw Power Hour, and tell them they're hoes and sluts, and that's going to change things. Like, shut the fuck up, man.
It's gonna change the world.
Well, if you notice both sides of the aisle in terms of like morality, like the trads versus the kind of like the adult film people or whatever, both of them want you on their longhouse, on their version of the longhouse. And the conversation no one's having is that, let's say you take your guy that's, it's his early 30s, he's finally hitting his stride, he got promoted, he's like, he's doing all right. He's not the most attractive man in the world, but he's top 20%. Right? We're just really not hard. Just don't be fat and make above 50K or something at 30. Right? He's doing all right.
Depending on where you live.
Yeah. So he looks at the dating scene. He's just like, man, this shit sucks. Like I'm getting laid like 3 times. Well, let's say once a month you get laid with a new chick, right? Which is pretty good for an average guy. That's pretty top level, kind of like in a vacuum. That's really good, right? He looks at all this and he realizes like, hey, it's like the lonely old man myth. Like, why is everyone trying to make me be in a relationship? Why are they selling it so hard to me? Right? Why do they want me in the longhouse so bad when I'm totally happy by myself? And that's a question that a lot of guys end up asking when they have a little bit of abundance, right? It's almost like a window into the another side of the equation, where it's like, hey, I had a time where if I felt like I didn't have a girlfriend, I would be lost, and now I'm doing well in life, and there was no girl with me at all. I'm doing fine. And you get to this point where you're just like, why is everyone trying so hard to like get me in a relationship? Like, what do they want me for so bad? They didn't want me in my 20s, but all of a sudden they want me to. And it's just like, guys start seeing it for what it is. And I think the biggest thing we kind of like don't talk about is like, young men aren't that stupid. They're like naive, but they're not that fucking stupid,
And you see more and more of that, where guys are waking up to it, where it's like, no, like we've seen it. We see the online world. We're getting a glimpse of it, where it's like, yeah, no. And that's kind of what I meant, where it's like, oh, I'm now whatever, like at the other half of 25, whatever. No. I want kids. I want a relationship, blah, blah, blah. And then most guys will be like, yeah, wait a minute. Why is that? What happened here? And I want to get into a part of Arch's post, like, we're here for the unhappy losers, which goes into a bit what Arch already addressed. However, as much as we theorize about women and their romantic lifestyles, the red pill isn't really about women. It's about men. The problem with loser men marrying a woman who isn't thrilled at the idea of fucking his brains out on a nightly basis isn't that the woman is benefiting unfairly from him. Sure, that's not fair, but what do we care if a woman's benefiting unfairly or not? I don't care about her. I care about her husband. The loser man is going to spend the rest of his life unhappy, but he'll never know it. He'll think that this is just how life is. He's never had multiple women competing to ride his cock. He's always been desperate for a date, denied sex, and genuinely believes that having any woman willing to marry him and have occasional sex with him is an amazing blessing. When you've never really been happy before, you don't realize how unhappy you are now. I thought that was very relevant, actually. And that's kind of what we're getting into, where, like, Nuke, you mentioned, like, guys aren't that stupid. Like, right now, they're kind of waking up, but there are still a giant majority of guys who are so happy that at the age of, well, what do you want to call it, 30, something like that, they finally get attention.
So
They
interesting point, Jack, is that women actually kind of struggle with this idea too. Like the idea that like in a marriage, sexual frequency is supposed to diminish, especially after you have kids. My feelings for my husband are supposed to cool. Like that was like pop. I mean, until like about 10 years ago, that was common like pop psychology knowledge. Just marriages, you had less sex, the kids, constrained your time and energy, and that was just totally normal. And like I said, I read a bunch of the girl books now, but like women struggle with that too. Like this idea, like, how do I get the passion back? How do I make myself want to have sex with my husband? Like, how do I rekindle that spark? Like, women struggle with that as well. Like, I mean, deep down inside, they want to love and want to have sex with their husbands. They know they're supposed to. But like Nuke was saying, once a woman feels like she's supposed to do something, and when it feels like an obligation or an expectation, it's a lot less sexy, Like when a woman wants to play house with you and it's her choice, that's fine. When a woman has to have sex with you because you're her husband and she has a title of wife and it's expected of her, like that, is a shit ton less sexy for her. And I don't know what the solution is for that, but women also struggle with this. I'm not happy in my marriage either. How do I get to where I'm happier?
Right.
Yeah, like you mentioned that in the post, even like most women don't even want the divorce, but at a certain point, they don't know what other thing to do.
Right. So, well, at least the two posts talk about, I think that's the central reason why people are here. It's that they're unhappy with their lives, whether it be love life or otherwise, and they're finding answers, right? And the thing is, like, what everything on the internet, at least the Honest Field reports talk about is, at least the notes that were swapped, is that it's possible to get yourself to a place where you're happier than you were before you understood everything, right? And that's kind of, I think that kind of has to be reinforced, where we're like, okay, right now you're not fucking, you don't know what women are like, you don't know what's possible for you, and now here's like what we did. You can try these, and you could maybe get there with a little bit of effort, and that's just lost. That's gone. Like you go on Twitter, you go on YouTube, all those two sentences, that's gone, totally gone, and that's why I want to talk about this. So,
yeah, I mean that's why you're here.
I mean, the internet has kind of shifted more toward, I guess, more prescriptive stuff. People want advice. They want dating coaches or to sell themselves as dating coaches. Say, here's what you should do. You should work out this way. You should talk to girls this way. Women are this way, and they shouldn't be. Like, and everyone's like weirdly concerned with what other people are doing with their money and their penises and their vaginas. Like, people are weirdly concerned about this when, like, we're all normal people. You're a small cog in a machine. You work in an office cubicle or you fix garbage disposal or something. Like, whether or not, you get in the longhouse with your money and your penis really doesn't matter to the world. And whether or not some particular woman is promiscuous or not, or whether she filmed herself on the internet or not, like, she's a tiny cog in the universe too. She doesn't matter. Like, we're all just people muddling through the world and stuff. And people get weirdly concerned what other people are doing and what they should do. And really, I think just understanding the landscape and how things are currently working today, and hope it's still working that way long enough that what you learn today, can get you, some modicum of happiness, and then go with that. I mean, in 10 years from now, what we're talking about today won't be good advice. So we'll have to figure out the new world.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it is too. A lot of people are looking for a reason why things are bad, and they don't know, right? Or they do know, or they just don't want to face it. For example, like when you're playing video games with someone and then you beat the crap out of them, whether it be Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Super Smash Bros., or whatever, and they always say, "Oh, my controller was dying," or there was a glare on the TV or something. It's the same thing. Like, oh, I'm not having sex because red pill guys are promoting degeneracy, right? I'm not having sex because some girl, pours milk on her boobs on camera for weirdos to watch, right? It's a stretch, right? But that's exactly what they're saying, and it's like my biggest thing for this stuff that like I see that my friends struggle with is that they just can't say, hey, this is between me and me. This has nothing to do with the world. And even if it does, it doesn't serve me to blame the world for why I can't get laid specifically.
Yeah, but that's where that's where the projection comes from. Like somebody is living a life I am not living, but I actually would like to live it. You know what? Let me just shame the guy into not live a life I actually want to live, so I can feel better about the life I'm living that I actually don't really want to live.
They need
The
to
average
find their
dude,
Yeah,
though,
but
I mean, like the average dude gets very frustrated about this because I mean, ultimately he hasn't done anything wrong. He did what he was supposed to. He got his degree. He's working in an office building. Like he makes a decent salary. He's not too fat or too ugly. Like, the average guy hasn't done anything wrong. It's just his problem is like, he's like in the 49th percentile of men or something. So he's not cute enough to like, get girls off the internet to go home with him. And so like when you tell a guy who's already worked hard, he's already got a decent job, he already looks okay, he's already pleasant socially, he's done all this work and say, sorry, dude, hit the gym, practice game, do all this other crap just, to have a shot at a promiscuous woman, like going home with you off of Hinge once a month or something. Like, a lot of guys get really angry to hear that because they've already worked so hard just to be, a normal dude. Now, just to be a dateable dude, you got to work 10 times harder.
Yeah, and then they want the time machine. I wish it was like the 60s or 70s where you just had to exist and get a girl. But then I think a lot of what the red pill work is just convincing guys that not that it's easy, but there's
It's
a way out.
possible.
Yeah, that there's a way out.
Yeah, we don't even tell. Yeah, we don't even tell you it's worth it though. Like we don't even tell you if you don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. If you're like 400 pounds, you look like a burn victim. You're 2 feet tall, and you just want to play video games in mom's basement. As long as you're equipped with this information, that's what you choose for your life. More power to you. But like when you're sitting here with none of the right information, and you don't know what to do, you wish you could change your life. Like hopefully we're a source of valuable information for people, and they can choose then what they want to do. And if you don't want to go spin plates, if you don't want to have casual sex, you genuinely for some reason think it is morally incorrect and actual degenerate behavior, you don't have to. But if you're somebody who knows that this is how the game works, this is how women works, you develop the skills so you could. So now you're an attractive dude, but you choose not to live that life. Then you go have the trad married life. At least you're attractive enough. Maybe your marriage has a 52% chance not to get divorced or something.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys' biggest
the thing
shock.
is, like, you have all this information, you have all this information. You have to ask yourself, like, what do I have to offer? And I hate to say that, but like, okay, they always say you are the prize, but okay, nobody wants a rusty, bent prize, that's thrown in the garbage. So what are you working on yourself to be the prize? Okay, is it going to be the beta traits that you can offer women? Is it the alpha traits that you can offer women? Is it the security that you can offer women? What does make you special from the average guy that makes a woman wants to stay with you in a long lasting relationship, or have the hots for you for 10, 14, 15 years down the line? What do you offer as a man? Because let's face it, what are you as a man other than what you offer? We all want to think, okay, I'm the guy, if they want to love me, to be with me for the sake of being me. No, that doesn't how the world works. You don't get hired because you're a jacked 6 feet guy with abs. No, you have to have the charms, you have to have the skills. I guess honestly, like, think about it as a job. Okay, so why did this company want to hire me? Because they have the skills and I know what to say during the interview. And if there's a problem that arises during the the job, I've been hired to do it. I know how to fix it. And I'm always coming up with solutions. I'm keeping it, I'm charming in the office with my manager, with my coworkers. Everybody likes me. If you think about it that way, I mean, it solves a lot of your issues.
I guess a big picture question is like, let's say you're a normal dude. You're not fat, you're not skinny, you're not buff, you're not ugly. You have an average face. You're a normal dude, and like you have a normal job. You fix sinks for a living or something. So, I mean, I guess you're a prize to someone. I mean, you know how to fix sinks, you make some money, you're not an ugly guy. But to what kind of woman is that average dude who fixes sinks and doesn't look too ugly, doesn't look too hot? To what kind of person is that guy a prize? Like, where should he be aiming his sights?
His direct surroundings is the first thing
that's
I
up to
would say.
That's up to the guy, right? Like,
but yeah, but if he can't get like the cheerleading captain to go home with her or something because she's got like football players hitting on her and he's like looks dumpy, like should he be aiming for fat chicks? Should he be aiming for like poor chicks? Like, I mean, there's a niche for everyone.
Oh,
well,
that's
if he wants that girl, right? Then he has to know, like, what are the types of guys that this girl usually dates, or what is she looking for that the other guys aren't offering, and then figure out how to get that. If it's not it's probably not physical traits. My experience tells me it's probably more game, probably be more exciting, probably be more socially calibrated, things like that. And those are accessible to most people.
Pick up an instrument.
Oh yeah, that helps a
That's
lot.
another thing.
Oh man,
That's
playing
another
piano
thing,
is a panty dropper.
Yeah, but
Right?
like this is such a broad answer because, like you mentioned, like is he like he looks a bit like a plumpy guy. I would go like, okay, fix yourself first. Like leagues is a bit of a cope, but people tend to date in their range of attractiveness, kind of thing. Where it's like a 10 is not going to date a 5. Like rarely.
Like Dante was saying, like, you know, learn game, and Jack are saying, like, pick up an instrument. I mean, in you guys' experience, there's like 7 of us here, does it seem like most women, not all probably, but most women generally like the same kinds of guys and the same traits?
It comes down to not
Nuke
who you
saw
are,
some of
but
the chicks
what you are.
I've dated in the past. Yeah, I mean, he was like telling me these chicks are basically models. I mean, I don't play an instrument. I'm not jacked. I'm not 6 feet tall, dude. But I do.
Wait, you aren't?
Something that these women. No, I'm not.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like, you know, you got to know what these women are looking, you know, what kind of fantasy you have to fulfill for them. Like, what are they looking for? You know, some of these chicks are looking for the playboy. Some of these chicks are looking for the comfort. You know, you got to like, you have all this red pill, you know, knowledge, and people have been doing the work for the past 20 years. What kind of excuse? It's like having a cheat code for life. Honestly, you can use it for a job. You can use it to have a successful relationship. You just need to calibrate yourself accordingly.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you got to look presentable. You can't look like a fat shit and expect women to love you.
No, not unless if you've got a really good social skill or some kind of skill set of some sort that can detract from your physicality, but you should be working on.
Yeah, because you can be overweight but still be representable.
Chris O'Neill is a good example of that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing in the room. The elephant in the room is the obesity epidemic here in the United States. That also has a lot to say in the dating market too. That has a big.
It does.
You really don't like the obesity epidemic, do you, Duke?
The average woman in the U.S. is about 190 pounds, give or take. I mean, that's like a size 14 to size 16 dress. And so
holy shit.
When you're a guy at a bar and you're like, you know, you look like a girl next door brunette who's not fat, she's already like an 8 out of 10 just for not being fat. So when she goes home with a hot guy, she's not punching up over her weight. She's one of the few women who's not fat. Like her chunky friend, that's the average woman. Like, you know, and if you're an average guy, you should be hitting on her fat friend.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's kind of where the answer lies, is like, what are you as a man? Not who are you as a man, but what are you as a man? Do you have interests? Do you like pursue those interests?
Well, here's a challenging point here. Here's the issue with guys that complain on the internet. A lot of the times they're right, and that's the problem. Because guys are rational. They're like, I did this thing, it didn't work, right? It's like their own version of red pill, except they just want to stay there. They don't want to find the solution. And when guys go on the internet and they find other people that, hey, this guy makes sense. But the problem with the biggest surprise and shock to when people start reading this red pill stuff is how practical it is. How it's like, wow, like people talk about reading the rational man. I was like, wow, it really connected the dots for me. Right. And I'm like, really, dude? You had to really think about why girls like the hot guy at the foam cannon party versus the IT guy that's slightly chubby. Like, you really needed and that's how bad some guys don't want to don't see the truth in front of them. They need a book to tell them that, hey, you know that 90s high school movie you watched where the hot football captain got the hot cheerleader chick? That didn't like say anything to you? That didn't register to you? You thought that being what you are is enough to get a girl like that? And it's eventually you have to be like, okay, the way there's no elevator pitch for this red pill stuff, but there is a reason, right? And that reason is guys are looking for answers. They don't want to get taken for granted anymore in their relationships. And then it starts bleeding over to their job and their family and their friends and all that stuff. But I think really, really number one is it's practical. Just use it as a tool. Please use it as a tool. That doesn't mean go try to fix your life in one day, but use it as a tool. There's posts about, hey, lose weight, asshole, you're fat, or hey, she's not yours, it's just your turn. Here's why, and just use it. You're not going to change anyone but yourself. That's it. There's nothing else to like really talk about the red pill in terms of like what it's for. It's just a tool.
I mean, The end goal is unfortunately a little bit socially uncouth or unpleasant because the end goal of the red pill is, I guess, individual male power. Even at the expense of female power. I mean, if you become a hot guy who has your choice of women, if you become a wealthy guy, if you know game, if you become a guy who now has options with women, you become the powerful one. No woman has power over you anymore. Women are essentially interchangeable to you. You can just meet more. And so suddenly if a woman is, doesn't want to have sex or she's difficult or unpleasant to be around, you can bounce whenever you want because all women are completely replaceable to you. You're never the weak one in a relationship again. You're the powerful one. And so you don't have to, but you can start treating women as essentially just interchangeable sex objects.
If you want to, right?
Yeah, you don't have to, but you have that power now. And the very notion that we would want to equip men with power, sometimes even at the expense of female power, that's a socially uncouth goal. But what is the end goal of getting hot, getting rich, and learning game is essentially the power in your relationships.
The power for yourself, the power in your own bloody life.
I'd certainly want, just speaking on like more of a societal level and such, I'd certainly be more comfortable with men having more power than women having more power. And I think all the evidence points to that fact. But
women are just they tend to be unreliable leaders.
I want to wrap this one up. So, final thoughts and where can people find you? Dante, go.
So I just want to leave with so broad strokes, I find, my experience is that broad strokes, it is possible to get women when you're not getting women, to be happier in that aspect when you're not happy in that aspect. But with your particular goals, to get there requires your application. So that's what the rest of the stuff here talks about. And that's personal. But it is possible. And it is possible to be happier. You just need to look and you just need experience. And you can find me on Substack. I'm too lazy to link it here, but I'll post it somewhere on Twitter, whenever I feel like it.
Nice. Marty, get on it. Hawk, final thoughts and where can people find you?
Okay. I don't really have any more final thoughts. I've said all I needed to on this one. But if you guys want to find me, check me out on Twitter. And I'm at Red Pilled Hawk. And if you guys want to check out more of my politics stuff, check out the Old Glory Club.
Nice. Arch, thanks for making the time today. Where can people find you? And final thoughts?
I'm vaguely on Twitter. If you ping me, I may or may not respond. But I guess the age-old question that many to ask themselves is, what the fuck do I actually want? And that's a difficult question. A lot of guys don't know what they want out of life. But I mean, if there's something you want more than anything, whether it's a wife and loving kids, whether it's, a rotation of 6 women, whether it's a better job and more money, whether it's you want to fuck off to the third world and sow sales for a living and never have to talk to another human, or you really wanted to stay in mom's basement and play video games. I mean, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, figure out what you want in life. And at that point, then you need to realize I'm not getting that. I'm not happy where I am now. Devise a path to get from where you are now to at least a little closer to what you want. Break down to manageable goals or something. I mean, whether that's, playing more video games, whether that's, getting 6 women, whether that's finding a wife, usually that's going to involve working out, making more money, learning game, developing social skills, useful skills, and interesting hobbies, becoming a better you. I mean, you can never go wrong investing in yourself. But I mean, once you kind of know what you want, the path becomes a lot clearer. I'm taking steps each day to get somewhere rather than I'm spinning my wheels on the internet, reading this red pill stuff and counting it as self-improvement. Once you have a goal, then, you have more of a path, more of a plan. So that'd be my advice, is figure out what the hell you even want. And then you can start improving for a reason, taking more concrete steps to get there.
Nice. Thank you. Let's see. Gov, final thoughts and where can people find you?
Well, I mean, final thoughts on this is it seems like a lot of guys these days are just trying to seek some kind of remedy for a problem that might have been created, that was ingrained in their brains a long time ago. And now these days they want to find some kind of villain like us and they want to blame the red pill dudes. But like Arch was saying, it kind of mirrors what I was about to say. Instead of blaming others and finding that villain, just ask yourself, what do I want? And devise that path, find something, and you'll give yourself some satisfaction, and you will find that it's probably a lot easier to find that solution than you think. But you can find me on Twitter. I posted in the comments, and you can find me on YouTube on here, which will probably be linked in the title. and I'm getting on streams more often, so you'll catch me probably gaming a lot more often more recently. So I'll see y'all
Nice.
there too.
That's pretty dope.
Mhm.
Nuke, final thoughts and where can people find you?
Final thoughts is you got to be like Oppenheimer, right? I don't know if you guys saw the movie. The general came and said, "Make me an atomic bomb." And basically, that's what we're asking you. Like, make the atomic bomb. Figure it out. Go to the whiteboard. Look at who you are. Figure out what you want. Look at society and just be incredibly pragmatic and almost mathematical in terms of your dating. Right? It's so simple. It's much simple. It's not easy. It's simple. Hey, I like this kind of chick. Where do this kind of chick? Where do they live? Okay, I'm going to move there. Okay. What do these kind of chicks like? Oh, they like guys that are muscular. Okay, cool. Work on the things you can. Just make it extremely pragmatic. And then within all that mess and plunging your hand into the filth of dating, eventually you should come out on the other side a little bit more charming, a little bit more experienced. You won't get taken advantage by every single girl, and then you'll be at peace. And that's the number one goal, is to be at peace, right? You guys can find me on YouTube, Kaleo Nuclear, Twitter, the same, and then everywhere else, Nuclear Kaleo. My link tree's in the chat. Thanks.
Nice. Habibi, final thoughts and where can
Yes.
people find you?
Yeah, I can't honestly say more than what the guy said, but I do have to focus on the importance of having abundance, whether it's in money, women, your job, options, anything in life. This brings me to a saying that I think it's from Dune. It says, "Any man who retreats into a cave with only one opening deserves to be, deleted." So always have options, always have abundance. That helps with your mentality, with figuring out what you need, and it gives you the freedom of testing things out to figure out what do you really want. If you have the options, you can always test out things. And people can find me on Twitter, but I've been haven't been active a lot lately. Been busy with life.
Nice. We got a special guest.
Oh
Put her
yeah.
up, Gov.
AON.
She can complain all she wants. Ma'am, say hi.
Oh, never
Say hi,
mind.
Aaron. There you go.
Never mind. Guys, my final thoughts. Who is the red pill for? Guys who want to change their life, who want improvement in their life, and want better outcomes for their life. You can find me right here where you're watching. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below your thoughts of this show. And if you want to support the channel, you can click the join button and get my version of the Book of Book audiobook for free. Trey, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. That's it from us. We'll see you next week. Toodles.